You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thank you so much for joining me here today on this Training Thursday show, where we're going to be going over 4 weight loss and sports supplements to avoid. So this topic to me is extremely important. I love shows that go along with nutrition and exercise because as many of you know, that's how I essentially got my start. You know, my start was now over 20 years ago, and I got into this when I was in college. And what I was looking to do was help people transform their body from a natural perspective to the best of my ability back then, using exercise, good quality nutrition, and nutritional supplements. And I think what I was really trying to do, and I told people, and I've kind of shared this story before as well, is I think I was trying to help myself also through other people. And it seems that's the way that a lot of us get into the, natural health field, or just kind of like being caretakers or helpers of others, is that we suffered for so long. We were looking for help ourselves, and maybe we still are to this day. Many, many people I work with myself. And what we're trying to do is kind of share what we've learned along our journey, along our path. And so even back then, even in college, I think what I was trying to do is saying, hey, I learned this. It's working to help me transform my body. I'm not better yet, but I'm hoping that it helps you a little bit too. And so that's why, even though, again, I love personal training, always will love personal training. Personally believe it's one of the best careers in the world. It's one of those careers that if you're thinking about switching into the health and fitness field, that it might be a great idea for you, as in you should do it if you're interested in getting a personal training certification through one of the best organizations such as a National Academy of Sports Medicine, American College of Sports Medicine, or the National Association of Strength and Conditioning. So did I get that right? National Strength and Conditioning Association, NSCA. Sorry, that's the last one. So that's who I hire through. Those are all the organizations that at one time I got my certifications from. And again, I had many others as well. Like I talked about the American Council on Exercise. That was my very, very first certification. I think they're great as well. It's just, eventually you kind of move on and you get other certifications, and maybe they're a little bit more in depth. And that's, again, there's no disrespect to wherever anybody wants to start, because as everyone knows, I started at the bottom, and that's the way it is. And actually, I wouldn't change that for the world. That is how you truly experience this journey upwards, is to start at the bottom and appreciate every rung along that ladder, and if you can stop and you can kind of take a second to breathe and to look at where you're at in life, it can be a beautiful thing. It really can, because I know that I have a long way to go in just my own personal development and all the things that I want for myself, and trying to be the best husband possible, the best father possible, the best leader to my team, the best naturopathic doctor, the best person out there for trying to get this message of truly holistic, and holistic with a WH, right? Holistic, believing that your mind, your body, everything goes together. So again, like I have a long way to go in my journey, and all I'm trying to say to you is that no matter where you're at right now, I don't think there's a problem with sharing that message with others. I truly believe that. I get that question quite often about people looking to get in the health and fitness field, feeling like they don't know enough yet. Well, trust me, you know a lot more than other people who are starting from the beginning. So help those people. Maybe you're not going to help the, elite athlete yet. That's okay. But you can help all of those other people who are a rung or two below you to lift them up. Remember, lifting people up is so much better than stepping on top of them to make your way to the top. I truly believe that. So what I want to go over today is some of those things that I've been sharing over the years. And really, I've never changed my thought on any of these particular products. So I'm just going to go over 4. Most of the products that you think about could fit into these 4 categories. I don't want to make this, a crazy in-depth showing like that. I want to give you the action steps. I want to tell you why these products are not good for you. I didn't think they were good for you 20 years ago, and I certainly don't think that they're good for you today. So let's get started right from the top. One of the ones that's a huge controversy are fat burners and pre-workouts. Now, almost one and the same. I want to talk about them. They're talked about differently because fat burners are talked about, obviously, on burning fat. Please check out my show. I did an entire show. I don't even remember the number right now, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure, because I want to make this easier for you, because if I don't remember the number of the show, you may not either. So I'm going to look that up and just put that in my notes for weight loss supplements. I did a whole show, unbiased show, completely unbiased, on what's been shown to work and what hasn't. But why am I lumping fat burners in with pre-workouts? Okay, here's why. So again, I'm doing a general overview. Some fat loss supplements actually help. They help us a little bit as an adjunct. But trust me, there is not a weight loss supplement out there that doesn't say also in conjunction with diet and exercise, or also in conjunction with nutrition plan. So that's the thing. Maybe one day in the future, I will use my Ayurvedic-based knowledge that I learned from overseas, as well as functional medicine, and help with a little bit of this boosting with weight loss. I think maybe I will in the future, but the truth is this, is that at no point, and I'll say that right up front, I'll put that right on the page, at no point is this supposed to supersede your nutrition and your overall healthy lifestyle, because you will never find that solution in a bottle. You won't. And so, but you can find healthy herbal-based products, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that. But let me take a step back, because the majority of fat burners and the majority of pre-workouts are based on one thing, and that's stimulating the body, okay? I'm not going to give away how I would create a different one using the Ayurvedic-based methods we did when I was in Sri Lanka and India, and they work exceptionally well, and they are not stimulants for the body. So that's the interesting thing. So here's the deal. A pre-workout basically means it wants to amp you up so that you are hyped up, so that when you go to the gym, you're able to give 100 and maybe 101%. You're able to take it to that limit. Same with fat burners. What are they doing? Well, they want you to boost thermogenesis through stimulating the nervous system during the day. They essentially are one and the same. So they're always adding some type of caffeine usually, or herbal-based stimulant. So what I want you to do is make sure that you're using those for the right reason. And in my opinion, you would use those products only on a competition-based level, and even if they're legal for competition. So if you had an event, and this is something I said that, back in the day when I ran high school cross country and track and played basketball and martial arts competitive-based events, would I have used caffeine back then as a cognitive enhancer and stimulant had I known about caffeine as a supplement for that? Yes. But would I recommend that for everyday life? No. Because what's going to happen is that you will eventually crash. So much easier for a teenager and in your 20s to deal with these stimulants, right? But after decades of lack of sleep, maybe you have kids, you have a stressful job, you're not getting enough rest at night, you're just, you're really, as they say, burning the candle at both ends. If you are then stimulating your body with a fat burner or a pre-workout, you will literally begin to crumble. All right. I crumbled at an earlier age. People typically crumble at a later age. And what happens is this: it's draining your body of your vitamins, your minerals. It's breaking down muscle tissue. It's spiking blood sugar, even if you're not having a sugary-based drink. Doing all of those things because your body has to keep up with that stimulant. Remember, you don't get to stimulate your body with no after effects from that, right? Because when you stimulate it, your body says, okay, we're being stimulated. Now let's turn on those glucocorticoids. Let's lower thyroid. Let's ramp up blood sugar for the fight or flight based response. Let's draw some sodium into the bloodstream to ramp up blood pressure. Let's pull calcium as well to kind of stimulate that sympathetic nervous system, all right? Let's downregulate potassium. So what you're looking at is telling your body how to regulate minerals and how to regulate blood sugar and how to deal essentially with this short-term stimulus that can turn into a long-term stimulus based on lifestyle and based obviously on how long you're using these products. So that's how I look at it. And again, that's not going to change. What would I recommend in the short term? Well, this is what I recommend in the short term. I talked about this on an upcoming episode so check this out. Again, if you enjoy Instagram, I'm on the daily. I'm not someone who posts, 100 times a day. I post when I try to have something relevant to say. I post the podcast every day, and I will obviously be reposting great interviews that I have coming up. And one of those interviews is going to be with Jason Ferrugia. Jay's an amazing, really great exercise, health, fitness, lifestyle mind. And we were talking about this, and we were talking about basically body types and how stimulants affect some body types and not others. Well, basically what I said is no matter who you are, a cup of black coffee is not necessarily a bad thing if it's done after a meal. And the reason I said that is that it will not stimulate the nervous system to the same degree. I learned this in Ayurvedic medicine. And the reason is that it won't, is that the acidity will be used to help digest that meal, and it will move slower into the body, so more time released, and that some of that energy will actually be used towards digestion and not to stimulate the nervous system. So pretty interesting. And then I also look at European culture. I mean, not just European, Middle Eastern culture as well. Thousands of years. When do they have their espresso, or do they have their Turkish coffee, which, by the way, is amazing? They always had it after a meal, right? They always had it after the meal as a digestive. So really important to look at when you look at I look at obviously all the ancient cultures. I look at the blue zones. I look at all the old research and all this new research. Yeah, I like to look at it, of course. I quote it every Friday on my Friday review. I bring you the latest cutting edge research. But the truth is that I'm just as interested, if not much more interested, in what's been going on for thousands of years in human evolution and human medicine, meaning like the medicine that's been used for thousands of years that have held up. Because I'm not convinced a lot of these new protocols that we have, some of them dealing with pharmaceuticals, are great in the long run. I'm really not. If we have to create a device for it, I'm not sure that that's going to rebalance the body at the deepest level. Okay, so, but again, I'm open to everything. So I'm open to that, of course. Of course I am. So that's one way that you can get a natural fat burner would be black coffee. Or you can do what I do, which is just a little bit healthier. If you go to any podcast page, literally pick your podcast page and you scroll towards the bottom, you will see a PDF, a link towards my top green juices, okay? Top green juices. So I use something called the Daily Fruit and Vegetable Blend. It's 22 organic fruits and vegetables, very alkalizing, very mineralizing. I don't know if that's a word or not, but we'll go with it. Mineralizing for the body. And a great pre-workout could be using green tea plus the greens powder, squeeze a lemon in that, shake it up, or lime, which I love lime, shake that up, and then you can drink that hot or cold or room temperature for the gym. So that's a great way to get a little bit of caffeine, not as much stimulus as the black coffee, more theobromine, more of a relaxed spike in energy. I shouldn't even say spike, more of a relaxed increase in energy, and also a slower decrease as well, no drop off. So that's a great one. I list that right in that greens report if you want to check that out. Literally, you just click on it, and I think it opens right up to that podcast for my top 8 green juices. And another great one as well, a lot of people are using this. I enjoy it as well, and again, I don't do these all the time, but I really do love the world of herbalism and nutritional supplements. Of course, not ones that you buy at CVS or Costco, real functional. And again, no offense to CVS or Costco, but the truth is you guys don't specialize in functional medicine. You don't specialize in the best quality brands. You're specializing in helping people to save money. And that's a great thing in itself, right? That's a great thing. I have no issue with that. And I don't mind shopping there. And when I want to pick up my paper towels and toilet paper and things like that, great. No issues at all. But here's the deal. Although now I go with healthier, unbleached brands and all that, recycled, but that's a story for another day. But cordyceps, right? Cordyceps, great mushroom to use as well. That's going to hyper-oxygenate. It's going to really bring more oxygen and blood flow and increase stamina. So cordyceps is a nice one to use. You can use that in powdered form. You can use it in your smoothie in the morning. You can drink it as a tea. It's really great brands. I did a whole episode on mushrooms before. Just go to stevencabral.com/podcasts and type in mushroom, and you will see my show on that. All right, so that's enough for our fat burners and pre-workouts. Be careful of those. Can't recommend them in the long run. Can't recommend most because of the dangerous interactions that they can have in the products. Okay, so next up is protein bars. There's a lot of controversy over protein bars, and for good reason. Yes, they're quick. Yes, they're easy, and sometimes they're even tasty, but most of them are literally junk food. They are no better than a candy bar, and sometimes worse. There's so many fillers in there. I want to go through some of those fillers today so that you can look at, meaning like, is the protein bar that I like a good protein bar or not? I'll do a whole episode on good protein bars that I would recommend. I'll do that on a Friday review, which I have given some before. But for today, I want to tell you what to watch out for. Okay, some of the things you have to watch out for right off the bat are different types of proteins that they're using that are extremely cheap and that are typically GMO, genetically modified, such as soy protein isolate. All right, 93% of all soy protein, especially isolates, are genetically modified. and I cannot recommend a soy protein isolate at all. I can't recommend soy protein milk. I cannot recommend soy protein isolates in general. I can get behind, not for everybody, right? And not for everybody if we're talking about potential breast cancer, if we're talking about cancer in general or food sensitivities or lectins, I can't really get behind soy for certain sets of the population, but a little bit of non-GMO organic sprouted tofu a couple times a week, just like used by some of the blue zones based people, I have no problem with that, right? I have a problem when we're talking about using large dosages of soy, and I have a problem with when we're isolating the soy protein as well. Not great. Not great at all for those estrogenic-based effects. So soy protein is one that I stay away from in bars. I also want you to stay away from milk protein concentrates, milk proteins isolates. I want you to stay away from casein. Casein is promoted as this slow-digesting protein. I talk about this in another upcoming interview, actually, with Thomas DeLauer I just did during my book interview week. Brilliant guy as well. We went over that. Casein is a marketing-based protein. It's 80% of all the protein in cow's milk. Here's the issue. They don't want to just throw it away, so they're going to market it to you just like they do soy. And it's inexpensive, it's cheap to produce, but it is one of those things that has been linked with cardiovascular, cancer, and other issues as well. And that's because it increases something called IGF-1 from an unnatural perspective. Why? Because they pump those cows full of growth hormone. They pump them full of IGF-1. They pump them full of estrogen to make them gain weight. They feed them corn. They feed them soy. They feed them wheat. All these things that would literally kill the animal if they didn't put that cow on antibiotics. Believe it or not, they actually put antibiotics in cow feed. And believe it or not, more than half of all pharmaceutical drugs, including, I should say, in terms of antibiotics, go to cows, not humans. Think about that for a second. So trust me, this is why you do not want to be feeding it cow's milk to your children in any shape or form. It is not good for them. It promotes early puberty. It throws off hormone levels, causes skin issues. Get away from cow's milk. Seriously, it is not a human health food. If you want to make an argument for goat's milk or sheep's milk, which are actually very different. Again, we do food sensitivity testing all the time. All right, so here's the thing too. Like, let's just say that you're like, no, I believe cow's milk yogurt or cow's milk cheese or these types of things are good for me. Okay, like, I don't want to argue with you about that. Run a food sensitivity test. I will link that up in the show notes today. So, prove me wrong, prove everybody wrong, prove yourself right. Eat cheese for a couple days before, cow's milk, drink whatever you want, and then take the IgG food sensitivity test. See if it's causing you an inflammatory result. You will see. See if it's causing your children an inflammatory result. It will show you. All right, so this is more that delayed reaction because you think, there's no issue because you don't have any hives or skin rashes or your kids don't have ADD, ADHD, they don't have any inflammatory-based issues of the body or brain. Okay, no headaches, no anything like that. All right, that's fine. They don't have an IgE reaction. Remember, I explained this previously on a podcast of the differences in food sensitivity reactions. Please check out that show. It's just about a week or two ago. Just go to stephencabral.com/podcast for all of these shows. But here's the deal. You can still have an immune-based reaction 2 days after eating that food. It's called an IgG, an immunoglobulin G reaction. This is proven by science. It is true science. And they run it all the time in clinics. And we're just one of those clinics that allows people to do it almost anywhere in the world just by doing a finger prick right at home. Super simple to look at. So watch out for those proteins. Another thing, inulin. People are adding inulin to add more weight to the bar, to add more fiber. But here's the thing. A lot of people, especially those people with IBS, IBD, Crohn's, colitis, candida, SIBO, they react really poorly to this because it is a prebiotic, and a prebiotic can feed those things. That's why we run the organic acids test, or we run stool tests, we run other tests to see what's going on in that gut first. I'm going to go through these a little faster because, again, I could spend a whole episode on this. Maybe I should have just on protein bars. High fructose corn syrup, stay away from that. I stay away from agave too. Agave is quite high in fructose. What else do I stay away from? I stay away from sucralose. Sucralose is a 0-calorie sweetener, but the issue is with this. Sucralose, also called Splenda, wipes out good gut bacteria. We certainly do not want that. Another thing I stay away from is hydrogenated oils, trans fat. I stay way away from that. Anything hydrogenated. I stay away from bars that don't say they're non-GMO because I don't know what they're putting in there for natural flavors. If it's a natural flavor and non-GMO, like it's taken actually from a natural flavor of like vanilla bean or something like that, totally fine if it's non-GMO. But if it's natural flavor and it's a GMO product, well, then we have issues, right? Because it's probably created maybe in a lab. And I also stay away from sugar alcohols, xylitol, mannitol, erythritol, sorbitol, maltitol. So a lot of people have no problem with that. I do. Here's why. Because I work in a practice where 2/3 of the people have digestive-based issues, whether they know it or not, again, because we lab test for it, so we just prove it by lab testing, and they can't digest them, right? It causes cramping, causes bloating, causes gas, causes inflammation in the tract of the gut. So what I don't want to do is feed them those things. And again, those are polyols, sugar alcohols that are going to feed bad bacteria, yeast as well, if there's any type of overgrowth. So essentially, I just don't like a lot of the products that are used in energy bars or protein bars. One day in the future, I would love to be able to create my own. Right now, I don't have that ability to do so. But when I do, it's going to be super simple human protein, like not protein, but a human natural food bar. So it's going to contain foods that you would recognize in nature. No crazy, again, food dyes. Stay away from food dyes as well. That's bringing me to my next one, so I'm going to go there. But anyway, you want a bar that you can read that's simple, that isn't a million ingredients as well. Look for natural sweeteners as well. Look for like raw honey or maple syrup, or if they're going to add a sweetener, just make sure it's natural. That's it. All right, so my next one, which triggered that thought in my head, was we don't want any food dyes. Now, you might not be able to read a food dye, but if it has a number after it, it is a food dye, and believe it or not, that's actually a paint. Yes, a food dye is actually a paint. Okay, so it gives it color. So my next one on my list is sports drinks and these, enhanced vitamin type drinks. So what does that mean? Well, they're giving it color, and that color is usually not coming from turmeric or beet or EG3, any of these things that have beautiful color to them. Those things, that's totally fine. Adding beet to make your juice red or your bar red, turmeric to make a yellowy color, adding in the EG3 Live, which is an algae that's going to give that beautiful green-blue color, blue-green chlorella, any of those things, those are beautiful colors. And that works. That's all natural. But a lot of these sports drinks, one, it's sugar, or if not, it is artificial synthetic vitamins. So that's why I always talk about functional medicine. There's a huge difference. We're not going to put cyanocobalamin in someone's body. That's B12. That's B12, believe it or not, that actually comes from a cyanide-based molecule. Do you want to put that in your body? The answer is no, right? No, but probably no one's ever said that because they're hoping to sneak that by you. It's so inexpensive to create cyanocobalamin versus a functional medicine brand, such as the one that I formulate for, Equilibrium Nutrition, which is my brand, or Thorne, or Integrative Therapeutics, or Pure Encapsulations, like Douglas Labs, like all these are great brands, right? There's no way they're doing that. There's no way they're doing that. And that's because they're not going to compromise their mission and what they're all about. And these are people that only really provide to doctors and health practitioners. And those doctors, obviously in functional medicine, are going to call them out. Like I called out a company, I'm not going to name the company right now. And I said, hey, they said, well, would you be interested in using this product in your practice? And I look at the label and I just go right down and I go, no. I was like, here's why. And they said, oh yeah, you're right. I don't know why this was a sales rep, so this wasn't the company. And now again, this wasn't because of me, I'm sure. But about 8 months later, they actually changed that particular formula to include functional medicine-based vitamins in it. And that means it's more bioavailable to the body and doesn't build up as a toxin. It's more water soluble. It's easier for the liver to actually just use up and then eliminate. So, that's the thing. They probably got feedback from myself and a dozen other people that said, we're not using this. Here's why. And now they change it. And, obviously then I can use it in my practice, but I only need one of everything, right? I don't need 100 of everything. And so that's why there's so many great products. I'm just not going to recommend every single one, out there, because you can kind of choose based on all the information I'm giving you today. The other thing I don't love about sugary sports drinks is maybe they'll do 0 calorie and they'll put in some artificial sweeteners or things like that, like aspartame we don't want in there, sucralose we don't want in there, these sugar alcohols we talked about, we don't want the food dyes. But sometimes there's just a lot of sugar in them, like meaning they will actually put a lot of sugar in them. And if you look at the Gatorades and the Powerades, those could be beneficial if they didn't use cheaper products and they didn't use food dyes. But I'm sorry, when you're putting paint in your sports drink, not ideal. Switch over to using beet to make it red. Just do things like that. It's just much, much healthier. All right, I know that I'm up against my time today. I always do want to respect your time, and I want to keep these around the 25-minute mark. So the last one is this, pre-made smoothies. You know that I love smoothies, right? You know that I want the anti-cancer, cardiovascular, lowering of blood pressure, longevity benefits of berries, low glycemic fruits, right? I want all of those things. I want those things for you as well. Natural anti-cancer compounds. We want those. They're not the enemy. But here's the deal. Ideally, you're making that yourself. Now, you can make it earlier in the day and then refrigerate it for later in the day. I'm okay with that. That's not pre-made in my opinion. Pre-made are the ones that you buy in the supermarket with a date like a month from now. Trust me, if you ever made your own smoothie and you open that up a month from now, it would smell putrid. It would be like absolutely, you would know not to drink that. But here's the deal. With these pre-made smoothies, they are using pasteurization. They're using some type of method that takes the enzymes out that really can cause issues in free radical damage with the body. So here's the deal. What I want you to do is always just get the best of the best. I want you to make it that morning, if you wanted to, the night before, and freeze it. And then you could take it out that day, and by the time maybe your afternoon snack, if you're doing your smoothie then, well, then you have it then. Would you get all the living enzymes? No, but it's not going to be oxidized. It's not going to be putrid, so that's okay. Or you make it fresh in the morning, and then what you do is you just put it in a cooler bag, because maybe you're doing 2 a day, and then you can do one in the afternoon, you can do one on the way to work. So super easy, just simple, right? Simple things. But if you buy the pre-made ones, yes, it's pasteurized, it's all those things. It's the only way they can hold up. But here's the other thing. They use a lot of thickeners in them, and here's why. They don't always put a lot of fruit in. What they do is they use fruit juices. There is an enormous difference between a smoothie made with berries and fruit and fruit juice. Okay. One is I never recommend juicing fruit. You know that. Actually, I talked about in the beginning of the show, right? My greens recipes. Go check that out today. I'm going to link it up in today's because I want to make sure that you download that. So that's the green juices. Super easy. We talked about it with green tea. There's many different ones obviously in there. Great for the kids as well. But here's the deal. Okay, you never juice fruit. You just don't do it because then you're going to up the fructose levels. You're going to up your blood sugar. So you juice your vegetables, okay? And you can use a carrot, yes. You can use beets. You can use ginger. You can use lemon. That gives it the nice flavor if you're juicing greens along with it, which can be a little bit more bitter. But for your fruit, you eat it, all right? You eat it because it contains the fiber in it as well. So what I recommend is, a lot of people don't know this. I actually read an article just the other day. Granted, the person didn't have any like real training in nutrition, but again, that doesn't stop people from just writing articles online, is that they said when you have a smoothie, you lose all the fiber. And I said to them, I didn't say anything to them. Actually, I read that and I go, wow, I can't believe that this information is actually available for people to read. And I'm not going to say who it was, but it was on WebMD. So now think about how knowledgeable I think the articles are on WebMD. Not a huge fan, sorry, but like I think we should be pre-checking those because the fiber is still in your smoothie. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there. Have you broken down the cellulose wall of your veggies in a smoothie or in your fruit, broken down that a little bit more? Yes, but the fiber's still there. It's not like you're not eating it. It's like when you take psyllium husk, and if you turn psyllium husk into powder, you still get the fiber. If you take oats and grind down the oats, you haven't changed the oats. They're still there. The fiber is still there. Everything's there. It wasn't a magic act. Like no one pulled it out of the smoothie. So it's still there. So it helps control that glycemic response. And with a good smoothie, if you mix it in with something like the daily nutritional support powder, maybe put your greens in there. If you're someone not with, gut issues and you have no digestive issues, you mix in a little coconut cream or you mix in some hemp hearts or some flax or whatever you want to do. Well, you're also slowing that glycemic spike. And if you do what I do and you drink it over a period of an hour to an hour and a half, you just sip it. Just sip it. Time-release nutrition, your body's going to feel fantastic. You're not going to get the sugar spike. You're going to feel great. Your energy is going to last. There's no crashes. And it's a great way, an absolutely great way to start your day. And it can be a great afternoon smoothie as well when you start to get a little bit low, or great afternoon snack when you start to get a little low. So that's what I recommend. Those are the 4 to stay away from. Be careful of the fat burners. Be careful of the pre-workouts. Be careful of the protein bars, the sports drinks, the enhanced vitamin drinks, and the pre-made smoothies. Remember, you can find great alternatives to all of them, so it's not like you can't use them. You just have to be careful because the majority of them, especially the cheap ones, are going to be the ones, obviously, with the cheapest ingredients used and also the ones that are most detrimental to your health. I hope today's episode was helpful. I hope that I was able to share a little bit of knowledge today. If this could benefit anyone else, please do feel free to share it along with them. Take care, everyone. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.